Welcome to the Growing Old Disgracefully podcast. Well, this is episode whatever, but also Mark 2 because we tried this on Tuesday and we were having some internet difficulties. How are you, Ruth? How are you getting on?
I'm fine. I think it was my internet the other day. It was really weird. It was just so,
Well, we you say you're fine, but you're a bit pissed off. Tell us why you're pissed off.
yeah, I'm really annoyed actually. Um, it's raining here. And this morning I thought, oh, I'll go and look at the weather because it's my birthday coming up. And I thought, I'll see if the weather's nice for my birthday. Opened up and it automatically came up with the map of the UK. And it showed beautiful sunshine in Scotland. And I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah, unbelievable. I was like Edinburgh was just glaring at me, 21 degrees and sunny. I was like, no, 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 no. It's raining here in Devon. This isn't allowed. I'm chatting to Andy later.
Yeah, it's normally the other way around, isn't it? We're normally kind of 3 degrees and raining, but today it's a bit overcast now. But earlier on when you were messaging me, it was beautiful sunshine. It's still 21, 22 degrees, so it's pretty muggy.
Well, yeah, it was sunny here yesterday. Actually, I'll kind of say that, but it was so muggy. And this morning, I was doing a live workout, and I was so hot because of the mugginess. So we kind of needed that thundery showers to come to break that tension. But
Yeah.
Andy sent me a message when I shared that on my stories to say you should move to Scotland. And I didn't say this to you at the time, Andy. I was like, when I don't I was going to say don't fit in, but where my husband's from in Scotland, um, I think that my accent stands out a little bit.
Because where's your husband from? Is that East Kilbride or something?
Yeah, so Motherwell.
Motherwell, yeah. So having played there for a couple of years, playing football, they are an interesting bunch,
Well,
to say the least.
I mean, everyone I've met
They're
there,
they're
yeah,
lovely, but they're all batshit crazy.
but
To be fair, that's Scotland from north to south, east to west.
I remember going in this sandwich shop, and like I talk normally, but when I went in there, there was a big queue of builders, and it was lunchtime in Motherwell, and I thought, you know what, I just need to act casual because I feel very English right now. I've never felt so English anywhere, and I felt like I stood out quite a lot. And I don't know what happened to me, but it was like I'd been possessed by another creature. And I got to the front of that line, and rather than just being totally chill, for some reason came out my mouth. I was like, I'd like a ham sandwich, please. And I was like, how did that happen? I think I was like, just fit in. You're fine. You got this.
Your telephone voice came on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ooh, can I have a baguette? A baguette and cheese.
But I've never lived it down because my husband, I was telling him, I was like, and he was like, amazing. This is amazing. So,
I was gonna say you do know that those builders that were in there have never stopped talking about you. Remember that time we were in the local baker and there was that proper posh girl? She was
and
amazing.
no, I don't think they would have thought I was amazing. I was like, Andy, I can't move to Scotland. I'll be talking like that all the time because I'm trying not to. And I never, well, there we go. There we go. So that's fun and games. But yeah, we did try and record the podcast the other day. And we were talking at the beginning about how we don't overly prepare a plan because it's like a catch up. It's like instead of having a phone call, Andy and I do a podcast.
Yeah, two birds with one stone, isn't it? Really, that's kind of how we look at it.
Well, we used to catch up on a phone call occasionally and be like, oh, we'll
Yeah,
podcast. And now it's like
mm.
this. So you really are getting an insight into what we would chat about on a phone call. However,
A random chat.
yeah, but you have actually put a question box up this time. But I can start with the
Um,
rant that we were doing last time if you want,
yeah,
because
go for it. That's
I say rant. You know, I was saying that often it'll be things that we chat about on the podcast or things we've seen during the week or things that have happened. And again, nothing really massively upsets me. And I don't tend to get upset, particularly by other coaches, because I think everyone has their own reasons for saying certain things. But there was a local coach who I really like, and I know he didn't mean it in this way, but I just think it highlights the nuance that we have to be careful of with coaching, in that what we say can actually make a big difference to how people feel. And he was chatting about how he's a very honest coach and he'll never bullshit you, which is absolutely fine. And that he's not like those coaches that say that there are no bad foods. And I was like, oh, I don't think he understands why we don't label foods bad foods. Because obviously there's less nutrient dense foods, but we don't say that they're bad because they're not bad. It's just everything in moderation. So you want to, if you start calling things bad, then you're going to start feeling guilt over eating them. You're going to, see them with that scarcity mindset. And I was like, it is interesting that that could be misconstrued. And I don't think he did it intentionally. I think if I said to him, less often, more enjoyable, he'd agree. But
Mm,
the language of bad around foods, I don't love. I don't love.
no.
What
Oh,
about
the
you?
thing it's just it's the old adage though, isn't it? So if I was coaching you and you were like, right, so I want to cut off a couple of kilos for a beach holiday that you're going on, and I tell you, right, what's right, for the next 8 weeks we're going to remove chocolate from your diet. What's the first thing you want?
Oh,
From
me.
this moment on, you want
All I,
chocolate now. Oh, that's all you're going to think about. So
yeah.
as soon as you demonize something, you may as well put it up in headlights. You may as well just put it up, neon sign, boom, up there.
But don't
As
push your
soon
red
as you,
button.
yeah, exactly. Don't push red button. Everybody's going,
And I'm terrible for that, by the way. Like really bad. That's why when I stopped drinking so much, I've never given up. I do occasionally have a drink, but I've never given up because I thought if I went, I'm not allowed to drink, that I would be thinking, I wish I could have a drink sometime. Whereas knowing it's a choice and I can choose to if I want to is for me what
yeah,
I need. I know some people have to give up cold turkey and all of that, but because of the way I was drinking, I could just make it an easy.
yeah, and that's it. But I think I think the whole way that we use language, like you look at, we discuss this regularly with like other like as much as I hate calling them influencers, CWCs, cunts with cameras is what
It's my
we're calling them from
favorite.
now on.
Yeah.
CWCs, it's I suppose it's that the doomsday how they talk is basically let's set people up to think that it's going to be the end of their lives if they are like I put one up the other day about cortisol. There seems to be still doing this pish about, oh, cortisol's going to kill you. Yeah, cool story. So's a bus if it hits you, mate. Calm down. Like cortisol, I'm going to detox from cortisol. Well, that's going to be really difficult.
Well,
Really,
you
really
change your
difficult.
lifestyle, and then you
Yeah,
might be able to lower your chronic. If you've got chronically elevated cortisol, you might be
yeah.
able to lower it.
and
But
that's the problem though, isn't it? It's like, cortisol, they don't mention chronic, which is the thing that we need to try to cut back on. But cortisol's part of your daily life, whether it be your partner's hiding behind the door and jumps out to scare you. That's cortisol raise goes through the roof. Yeah, to putting that out punching. There's actually one of my old flatmates, kind of slightly nervous disposition, did quite a lot of kind of mixed martial arts and stuff like that, and he was taking his sister down through Mary King's Close, which is one of like the ghost tours in Edinburgh that they take you down below the Royal Mile because it's like it was built up on, and as they were going round, someone jumped out and Keith turned round and chinned them, like knocked him clean out cold, like one punch done, and the guy at the front's like, no, he's part of the act, and Keith's sitting there like twitching. He's like sitting there twitching, going, "You don't like he had PTSD from the boy jumping out on him." Honestly, genuinely, one of the funniest things ever. Obviously, Keith was extremely apologetic, but you can't jump out on me.
actually, when I first started seeing my husband, we went to Alton Towers, and I'd gone off the loo. I think there'd been some like, oh, it wasn't the school holidays, so it was just like term time. But there were some older kids there that were a bit like mouthy, but it was fine. And then anyway, he was just probably thinking about that. He used to do Muay Thai quite a lot, and then I ran out and booed him, and next thing he turned around, it's like this, and then he's like, I'm like, would you? Sorry, that was holding my fist, but he was just like ready because he thought somebody was attacking him. And I'm like, oh, you can take the boy out of Motherwell, but the instinct is there. So I learnt then. He was like, why would you do that? And I was like, because I've
you,
literally never experienced anyone doing that as a reaction.
yeah, exactly. So, but it's yeah. So, but I think the whole thing with that, the kind of the doomsday messaging making people feel really scared about stuff that you just really shouldn't be not that you shouldn't be bothered about, but stuff that's, cortisol, we all have to deal with it. Stress is something that comes in life, whether it be good stress or bad stress, but, chronic stress, yes, you do need to deal with it, but not by doing some stupid detox and taking a bundle of supplements and all this guff that they claim to be the next big thing of,
I think it's more stressful, actually, putting the
oh,
pressure on
yeah,
yourself to do the things that they're telling you have to do to bring
yeah,
down your
well,
cortisol.
exactly, that's it. And it's the same thing as, we discussed this on the one that we obviously didn't do because we had to cut it back, but like this clown of an influencer out in Dubai or wherever it is that's gets up at 3:30 in the morning and then douses his face down in fizzy water and then goes to the gym, gets a haircut. Imagine being the barber turning up at your house at 4:30 in the morning. What sad sack of a man do you need to be to actually get somebody to come and do that? Like,
Do you
get a
think?
grip.
Do you think he does that every day, or do you think he's done it once and then he's put it online? I
You know
just
what? You know what? Part of me's like 50% of me goes, nah, he's just taking the piss and it's like a one-off video and like he's claiming that that's what he does. And then there's another side of me just like, there are some fucking clowns that would do that. Some
yeah.
absolute tools that would be like, oh yeah, this is the hustle and the grind. Shut up. Like, no.
No, I think this is the problem, isn't it? With that, the social media has got some fantastic, very knowledgeable, incredible people, and I tend to follow those. And I'm going to say out there that the person I was speaking about, he definitely wasn't meaning it intentionally. It was just a word that he was using, and he was saying it. I think if I'd said to him, challenged him, and said, the reason people don't say that is because of this, he wouldn't have been talking about those types of people. He'd been talking about the people that are like, you can eat chocolate all day. Like I sent you a reel the other day, which we can chat about in a moment, about the people saying avocado was bad and then saying that Nutella would be better. But we'll talk about that in a moment. But so he wasn't talking about those. But I've been getting posts from a lot of influencers coming up on my reels. And I'm thinking they're literally just talking about something that either they've got financial investment in some way, or they've done it and it's worked for them, but they haven't tried anything else. It's like I had a friend that went on the Zoe diet a while back, and he was eating a really bad diet and drinking lots of alcohol before going on this diet, and he like I must say bad diet. He's a single guy at the pub all the time, having burgers, chips, whatever, living the best life. And he felt pretty bad, so he went on the Zoe diet, and he's like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" I'm like, "You're eating whole food for literally the first time in ages. You don't necessarily
Yeah.
need to cut all of those things back." Because I remember also saying to him, "Oh, I'm making some biscuits or something. I think you'd like." And he was like, "Oh, do you think you could make them with, I don't know if it was garum flour or whatever?" I was like, "No, no, just it's like just don't have a biscuit." But I thought it's funny because we'll often think things are the magic thing because we get given these hard rules and we've gone from something that wasn't working at all for us to something that's going to be better. But there is a balance in between.
Like, so absolutely, it's we speak about this kind of regularly as well with something like, a fat loss phase. You can do a fat loss phase in a real short period of time, but your head has to be in the right space to be able to do that, and you have to be pretty switched on to drive for, say, an 8 week cut that you're going to be dialed in for 8 weeks. Your head has to be right in there. But there's also a way that you could do it over 16 weeks. You could do it in double the time and probably do similar amount or quite possibly the same amount of body fat loss, but you're doing it over a more maintainable, manageable time frame, and you're not feeling miserable for 8 weeks.
And you
So
won't put it back on probably either because
yeah, and
you start getting closer to what maintenance would be anyway. There's not much changing.
yeah, exactly. And as you coming back to something that you said just before is, most of these people have got stuff to sell. Let's put the name in the bull ring as Stephen Bartlett talks about Huel all the time. Why? Because he's a major investor in Huel. Funnily enough, that's his business. and he's also part of Zoe as well. He's also invested in that, so of course he's going to speak about it.
And
But
have them on
the
his
problem,
podcast.
and have them on his podcast, and have all this other stuff, and it's the same. Who's the doctor behind it? Is it
Dr. Oh my God, Tim
was
Minchin.
it Minchin?
No, Minchin.
Mosley.
No, not Mosley.
Michael.
He died. No, Michael Mosley.
Oh, that's right. He was the one that papped it, wasn't he?
Dr. Tim Minchin is the comedian, isn't he?
Tim Minchin's a comedian. Yeah, I was going to say it's not him.
No, he's the guy that was the COVID guy. Oh my goodness.
People will be screaming it at the podcast.
I know.
It's this guy.
Yeah, it is Tim Spector, is it? Spector.
Is it
Tim
Spector?
I haven't looked. I haven't managed to find it yet, but I'm sure it is. I've just gone blank. Where's his name?
Tim Spector.
Yeah, so
Tim
he's
Spector.
actually an epidemiologist and not a nutrition scientist. So he's disease control. And, that is.
And that's the issue that we have is that, surely obviously Bartlett got pulled up on this recently with the whole with this whole kind of misinformation chat about, and do you know what, a lot the misinformation, for me it wasn't the misinformation, it's the fact that people think that he's telling you about Zoe and telling you about Hugh because of the goodness of his own heart. Sorry, but that's not how these guys work. They're not multimillionaires for because they give away shit for free. He's telling you about it because he's making money from it, and that's fair enough. But
if you asked him, he'd probably be like,
but be honest about it. Don't just say, look, I've got a controlling interest in Zoe or in Hugh, whatever it is. Folk could be like, cool story. Yeah, as long as you give them, as long as you paint the picture and give it the full picture rather than just the kind of the silhouette, is kind of always an issue. But
don't you on Instagram? You have to say if it's an ad, don't you now?
Yeah, you've got to say if it's a paid partnership, if you're doing it, that you're being paid by. Because I think if you don't do it and they decide to look into it, you probably get fined for it. I think, because I know that there's a few fines kicking about for other stuff like that.
I haven't actually had that problem.
No,
Andy.
Maybe we find a sponsor for the podcast. Herbalife. Yeah. We'll take Herbalife. 40 million a year. Sorry, I'm telling this people now. People can listen to this. I have slated Herbalife for as long as I can remember, but if they're willing to pay me 40 million quid a year, I'm selling out.
Yeah, I was going to say, now. Andy is just.
I'm selling out. I'm off to the Caribbean. I'll see you soon.
What Andy's telling you is that yes, there's a number, and yes, he will take.
There is a number. I'll be sitting sipping Herbalife shakes on a beach somewhere with 40 million in my bank. Oh yeah.
So you know what's happened if Andy gets to that point. You'll be like, he's doing a lot of posts about I was wrong. You know those I was wrong posts. People really appreciate that. In fact, Claire shared one the other day. Claire Tracy. About a guy who'd said about PCOS, not women on PCOS don't find it hard to lose weight because of their metabolism and their basal metabolic rate. And then he did his own post a few years later with that going on in the background saying, yeah, I was wrong. This isn't the case at all. It's just that the hunger levels and so on of women with PCOS, but actually the amount that they leave. And I was like, he's calling himself out. Love that. But that could be like you, apart from it looks really trustworthy because you're calling yourself out, but actually you're just getting loads of money.
Show me the money. That would be quite funny. I don't think I'm in Herbalife sites to be a sponsored athlete, put it that way. Watch this as I get about 70 emails. Do you fancy selling Herbalife? No, I fucking don't. Now fuck off.
But how do people decide what's truth and what's not on? Because you get on Instagram, the reels that you're going to be shown aren't going to be really the longer form content. Anything over a minute and a half, they're definitely not going to push it out. So really, it's going to be those 30-second reels or shorter that they're pushing out to you. And the amount of information that you can take in really from that isn't much. So you could be picking up little things and you're like, oh, it's this. I get so many people coming to me who are so confused about what they're doing wrong or where to start. And I feel sad because I think the internet has got a lot to pay for that. And I know we spoke about you can filter what you're seeing.
Yeah.
But that takes a bit of effort to do.
It takes a bit of effort, but also we kind of know what to look for and we know what to avoid. And it's people that are coming in who have got less. I'm not saying less of an education in general. I'm saying less of an education in the fitness industry and being able to look out for the bullshit. It is it's very dark and murky when you don't really know who to listen to, you know. And why wouldn't you listen to somebody who has a multi-million listening podcast who's talking about health, and somebody who is a doctor? Why wouldn't you listen to them? This is the issue that we have, is that, you know, Tim Spector is a doctor, but he's not a nutritionist. He's an epidemiologist. So it's these are the issues that you have, is that he's probably not the best. He's not going to be the best person. And again, he's selling something. He's got money involved in what he's trying to push.
There is a good doctor. There are plenty. That's not what I was going to say, but one that will often, he is a nutritionist as well. I'm just going to get his name for you because I think there are certain people that you can just follow. Yeah, here you go. Who will give you the facts, and then
Yep.
they'll also talk a bit more about those people. So Joshua Wolrich, Wolrich. He's a nutritionist and he's great because he will talk about those people in particular and say, you know, they're epidemiologists or they're, and actually, if we look at why they're saying that, and so he's really good. But the other thing that I'd recommend to people, you don't need to pay. Like if you pay, you get access to bigger studies. But examine.com, if
Oh
you,
yeah.
yeah, is brilliant for supplements. But I will say, even things like, I think it's Happy Mammoth. I feel like they listen, by the way. As soon as I say their name, I suddenly get loads of adverts. But Happy Mammoth, loads of people were saying that the supplement worked really well, blah, blah, blah. So I looked at the back and at the ingredients. And when I looked at examine.com, you can just look at the ingredients in it. And really, the only thing I could see in that was ashwagandha, which can make a difference to feeling a bit calmer for people.
Yep.
And you kind of can cycle it in. And if that is the thing, it's going to be much cheaper to just take the ashwagandha rather than the Happy Mammoth. So I think it's worth looking at the back and then using
Yep.
examine.com.
Examines it's a great resource for helping you work out about, and it has a lot of other stuff on there as well, not just about supplementation, but other studies within how about diets, etc. as well. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's a very interesting website, and
Intermittent
it's
fasting, everything.
yeah, it's got everything in it. It's all just looking at the evidence and sort of looking at the sort of the research on it, and they don't really try and peddle anything. Which is, apart from their obviously their upgraded site, but that's
But
not something I would worry too much about.
yeah, but the thing I like about it, Andy, is as well, like you're saying, is they don't try and push everything, but they will actually say there are some studies to show blah blah blah, but um, there is question marks over this because of potential
Yeah,
conflicts of interest or the size of the study. So if you're not used to going and looking and go, oh, that looks better because it's meta analysis and there's no
yeah,
conflict of interest and blah blah blah, they've done that for you. You know,
yeah,
for a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of things they have. And it might be that some things they'll be like more research is needed, and
yeah,
because a lot of it in this part of, you know, well, humans, they're often observational, so it's really
yeah.
hard. So they've got to have a big pool of people.
Very much so. It can be a minefield, and I understand why people get really frustrated with it, because they think that they're doing the right thing following a certain person, and then all of a sudden that person then turns out to be a bit of a charlatan, and you're like, oh, for Christ's sakes, just being basically. And this is the thing about, I don't know, did we talk about this one in the last episode about sort of hedging yourself into, like, polarizing yourself into different camps about um, you know, um, only having one view on a certain thing. But whereas I think the older that you get and the more experience you get within this industry, you realise that you need to sit in the middle and look at it from all angles, and then you work out how it's going to work best for you. It's one thing that I worked with John Meadows for a number of years, who's a bodybuilding coach out in America, called Mountain Dog. Passed away very sadly a couple of years ago, but he was very much, that's one of the biggest things that I learned from him, was about sitting in the middle, look at everything around it and see where it fits for the majority of stuff. So, how does a certain exercise fit into my client's training program? Does it? Does it not? If it doesn't, we shift it on, we find something else.
All
And
over
that's
the Oliver
probably
Twist curls.
exact part of I've got another one I'm going to put up today about the bastardized pull row. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
the kind of one
So
that's like it's do you know what? I'll not say too much, but I didn't come to any conclusion other than yeah.
I mean,
It's
some
one of
of them
those
will
it's one of those exercises. It's like it could do something, but there are better exercises out there for you to use. So
after talking to you, I put Zotman. I wrote a few exercises for my husband. I put Zotman curls in. Bloody loves them. I mean,
oh,
I do them
you doing the
fairly.
normal ones, or you doing the reverse
With
ones?
him, I'm doing normal ones, not reverse
Normal
ones.
ones.
But even that he loves because he wanted something he could do as a bit of a routine just in the house that didn't take him long.
Yeah.
And so I've got some lighter dumbbells that I just keep. I'd use them for
Yeah.
my live classes because I don't do heavy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, do you know what? I'll put Zotmans in because of the fact that you won't want to go really heavy.
Yeah.
With those, but I'll try reverse ones as well. But I did it the other way. I did normal Zotman curls.
You should get another one that you can do with slightly lighter dumbbells for shoulders. I don't know if you've done 6 ways before.
No, but it rings a bell.
So that's a lateral raise. Bring it out to the front. Bring it above the head, and then return it back the same way.
Oh,
you don't need much. You don't need much weight on that, and your shoulders will scream at you.
Any time that it's far from your body, that weight, it's going to be hard, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one of these. That's one of the things that with the exercise I popped up. I think it was a story last week about when you're pushing weight or pulling weight, the position of where you have your hands in relation to the weight does make a big difference to like the things like length of lever and stuff, and how you engage the muscle better. So I know a lot of people. Yeah, exactly. So if you're doing, for instance, if you're doing dumbbell chest press and you're bringing the dumbbells across in front of you to basically touch in front of your chest, it's actually slightly easier. Whereas if you keep them out wider and keep them in line with your elbows in line with your wrists, works harder because your chest's obviously in a more stretched position and the weight's further out away from the fulcrum, which is where the point at where the weight sits on, or where the lever sits inside, and then the weight's at the far end of it, so it makes it harder. So there are loads of different ways to do this. And again, we talk about exercise technique, etc. too. Things like, it's one thing that does massively bug me within the fitness industry, and I'm not talking about just general Joe punters, because I know it's quite tough to get into exercising, but fitness professionals with shit form really fucking annoys me, like to the point where I'm literally chucking my phone off a wall. It's that bad. And sadly, there are a lot of them.
Yeah, you do see it. You do see it. And I the thing that worries me more about that is like I remember putting up years ago, and it wasn't like terrible, but I'd been hesitant. It was years ago about putting up this exercise. I was showing something, and I was like, right, I just need to say that this is the area I need to work on, because I thought it was a heavy exercise. I can't remember what it was. It might have been a form of a deadlift or something, because I wanted them to know that I recognize. So it might have just been a general thing that there was work to be done on that, because I think the thing that worries me is they're often putting it up thinking it looks good, that it's fine,
and that's, do you know what? That's exactly what should be put up. So, if you've got clients that are trying to shift a 1, a 2, a 3 rep max, the form's probably going to get pretty shitty, because you don't know that you're hitting a 1, 2, or 3 rep max without getting to the form falling away a bit. But exactly as you said, you look at that video, you can take away where you need to work. So for the deadlift, I'm straightening my legs too quickly, my shoulders are opening up, my back's starting to open up, so I need to be locked tighter. So make that point that this is where you're at. If you're a fitness professional and you're sharing videos of your clients with really bad form, it's not a good idea, unless you put up, this is why, this is what we need to look on, this is what we're working on. It's it's just it's a massive bugbear of mine, and I know we're very 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 quick to go and do lots of training courses on nutrition and mindset and all these other things that we're doing, but as a personal trainer and a coach, a big part of what you do is training. It's how to be teaching people how to train. If you can't train and you can't teach how people how to train, there's a massive knowledge hole that you're missing out on in there. And actually, for a lot of people, probably shouldn't be teaching anybody how to lift.
And
Sadly,
I think that's sometimes the case to miss that bit of that I think is quite valuable, and that is time on, actually training people on the floor,
yeah,
actually watching and looking at people's form and doing it then. Because now,
yeah.
and understandably, online coaching is such a big thing.
It's the
You
rush
go
to
straight
get there,
into
isn't it? It's the rush to get there. It's like you don't like I'll liken it to any other job. You don't go from university to standing in front of a judge as a QC or a KC, sorry now. You have a line of work that you've got to get from A to B. Same with a joiner. You don't go from your college courses and your apprenticeship to basically banging out a house. There's a lot of work that you need to put between your apprenticeship and your time served. So, these are things that, as a personal trainer or a coach, these are things that we have to be very, very wary of as well, because we've got exactly the same. And in fact, we're putting people's bodies under positions that could potentially hurt them quite badly. And if you don't know what you're looking for and you're teaching it badly, you're leaving yourself open to getting a battering.
And I think that the time that is less important is for those people that are doing hit-based workouts with their clients.
Yeah,
Body.
absolutely.
Andy's mainly talking about people that are getting their clients to do compound lifts, barbell work and heavy dumbbell work and even machine weights, but like hack
Yeah,
squats and things like that. If you're writing those
yeah,
types of things and you have a client that's like, oh, I want to send you a form video because, that's always
yeah.
encouraged. Those are the types of things. If you're doing hit-based sessions, you don't need to be a PT really to be leading those sorts of sessions. It's
No.
a fitness instructor.
Burpees are horrific at any point, even if you've got a good or bad technique.
Well, I had burpees in my session yesterday for the first time in ages. Like,
Why?
I
Just
well,
why?
I
Who,
don't
who,
really.
what horrible person? Like, I'm all for Bulgarian split squats. I'm all for all these horrific, but just burpees. Why? No.
I very rarely put burpees in when I'm writing sessions, and
Mm.
occasionally I'll put them in the live class because the live class that we do is more of a hit-based format. So I'll do a bit of
Yeah.
strength, so it's more of a conditioning thing because they've got their workouts, they do strength, and occasionally
What
I
you're
put them
telling
in.
me, Ruth, is you are evil.
Well, no, because Andy, those are sessions that I have to do, and I'm always annoyed with myself. I'm like, why did I put burpees in? And but I actually was when I yesterday because I've got this problem with my arm. I was like, I went down to start doing the burpees, and I was like, because of it's
What,
like jumping
one-armed
down.
burpees?
Well, they didn't. It was like a timed 10-minute round. It was like 2 strength exercises and then burpees, and I was like, yeah, I'll just do strength. And I wouldn't normally do that, but it was actually hurting that arm. And I was like, I'm going running. I run, I run a couple of times a week. I'm active. I was like, I don't think the burpees are going to make a massive difference in the grand scheme of things. Although
No.
I was thinking about going for a run today, but I'm going to stick with my BJJ instead because it's my optional run day. It's my bonus run. And today
I
it's
did.
tipping it down.
Yeah, mine's was prehab, rehab, a bit of legs today. Just knees been a bit saucy this week, so I'm just trying to get it loosened up and mobile again. It's,
Why?
to be fair, it's feeling pretty good today. So I was a bit sore this morning, but probably because I had five-a-sides on Tuesday, so that's kind of 2 days. 2 days after, my knee feels a bit better today, just with a bit more kind of sort of prehab rehab stuff, which is kind of it's one of those ones. It's having to practice what I preach, telling people that you need to keep things moving, and then it's like I'll not do any prehab rehab for like a week and a half, And then by the time I get to that 10 days, I'm like, oh man, my knees are sore. I'm like, why don't I just keep doing this? And it's completely about just, right, you're going to take a day. It's going to be one of your, or part of a one session, putting it in and just doing 25, 30 minutes of movement based mobility stuff. Maybe even chucking it in a couple of times a week just to smarten things up. And it's just being a bit more accountable to myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what you can commit to, and it's often just keeping it not too
Yeah,
realistic, isn't it?
absolutely.
Yeah, it's not always easy. I feel like sometimes it feels like you're doing everything right, like with those little niggles, and then you're like, why is it still there? I'm trying my hardest, but again, there's normally a reason. Find the reason. Go. There we go. Did you get any questions, Andy?
Give me 2 seconds. I shall have a quick look. Um, da-da-da-da-da-da. Uh, so a couple of ones just about kind of just covering some of like the kind of fitness myth stuff. Um, uh, in fact, we've covered one of them already with like our kind of with the kind of hormone reset plans from non-doctors, which obviously we've discussed kind of with the whole
No,
cortisol thing.
I don't think that there's really, if you're having certain problems, obviously there's a medical issue, that's different. If you're having certain problems, you are going to want to address your lifestyle and your habits to change those. There's no magic supplement. There might be things that make it feel a little bit easier along with it, but you're still going to want to make those changes that help you better. With chronic
Yeah,
stress, like chronic is stress is the thing where you don't always notice that you're stressed anymore. It feels normal, and that is when it starts becoming a problem. When you're
yeah.
always slightly tired, always a bit grumpy and moody, always getting annoyed because I always say the dog wants letting out into the garden. I know that my stress is getting a bit worse when the dog just taps to go out, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, he just wants to go in the
Dogs like
garden.
that. Dogs like that go. Just let me
I need
out.
a wee.
What's the big deal?
I think it's funny. I think he just feels like he needs it all the time. He does this thing now since my other dog died, and it's like he just discovered it overnight, where he taps to go out into the garden, or if he thinks it's getting towards dinner time, so he taps. It's like I think he's learnt that he gets my attention if he taps at the door. So it will be our dinner time, then he'll start tapping and looking at me. And you go to let him
Yeah,
out, and he doesn't want out, and you're like, "Oh, you little bugger! It's not dinner time yet." So,
yeah. We've
but
we we have that problem with Akira as well. I call her the big thick one, but she's actually quite smart. She's many times has she managed to con out a second breakfast or a second dinner out of Laura. So we've actually got like a sign now that where our food is. You can use a can to get the dry food. So you put the sign up and saying, do not be taken by the eyes. She has already been fed.
yeah,
She'll
we
sit there
need
and
that.
look at this. She looks at the bowl and then she looks at you, and she looks at the bowl. She looks at you, and then she'll look at. Now she's got Finley under the thumb as well, so she'll look at Finley, and then Finley's like, he calls her Tia. He's like Tia, Tia. He goes Nana, because she's like Nanny. We always used to give him bananas, so now he's now using Nanny as any food. He wants
Oh,
dinner. So he's like, Nanny, Tia, like that, and he'll point at the cupboard because he knows where her food is. So she's got him well and truly taught already.
I mean, clever dog. I think Mycroft's a bit like that. He just incessantly, he just keeps going, and you think he's stupid. We call him our lovable idiot or asshole. Sometimes it's lovable asshole because he'll be either really good, really really good, or monumentally like bad. And you're like, brilliant, you let me down. He doesn't tend to be like that so much anymore, but he doesn't always like other dogs. So it was always a case of he'd
Uh,
be really really good, but you go out for a walk and he's such a pain.
Akira's exactly the same. She loves people but hates other dogs like with a vengeance. So she'll do. I don't know if Mycroft's like that, but she'll do the whole thing where she'll basically she'll see a dog, and if it, like generally it's like it's one of the Napoleon dogs, so one of these wee handbag rats that starts to get a bit squawky. So she'll basically just eyeball it. She'll like literally it'll be way past, and she'll just be staring at it as you're trying to go, right, come on. And she's like giving it the eyeballs to try to keep it going off. So yeah, she
She
knows
sounds really
exactly what
good.
she's doing.
In my,
She's way smarter than she thinks,
I would,
than we
I would,
think.
I would be running with Mycroft, and I'd be saying to people, "I'm really sorry, he's slightly asbo," because he's always on like a harness when I'm running with him,
Yeah.
and then he'll be absolutely fine. Like I don't know what she's talking about, whatever, because he's better when I'm running because he's got like a job to do. But then other times, you see a dog and it's like rah, 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 and he's just barking and he's like let me
Yeah.
at them, and it's normally actually because he clearly is a bully. It's normally those like slightly shy, timid dogs. Because I remember
Mm.
Rottweiler coming up to him once, and I was like, "Brilliant, he's going to die. Great." And then he went, "Oh, I think I'm just going to carry on that way." And I was like, "Oh, he's
Yeah.
not stupid. He is
Oh,
not
I
stupid."
wonder what's in that side of the road today.
He literally just went, "Oh no," and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
he knows what's worth picking out." And I think it's those ones that people go, "Oh, lots of dogs don't like our dog," and I'm like, "Great, but you live in the village, so." Every time I'm
Yeah.
out, I'm always going to worry that I'm bumping into you.
That's it. That's it.
Anyway,
Um,
and you were looking at questions. So cortisol,
yeah,
yeah,
not
chronic
there's to be
problem.
fair, not really much else. To be fair, are there any supplements that you would recommend? I know we probably covered this in a previous podcast, but supplements that you recommend probably for me would be creatine.
Creatine, yeah.
Um,
Vitamin D in the
as
winter, in the
yeah,
if you're in Devon at the
vitamin
moment,
D. Yeah, vitamin D. Certainly in Scotland most of the year, apart from today.
or if you're indoors more. Omega 3 can be useful if you're not eating any fish.
Yeah, omega threes is also pretty good. And then probably just something like a protein supplement, whey protein. Um, there's I think someone's in the box is about collagen. The issue that you have with collagen is that collagen's bioavailability is not as good as whey protein, so the actual transference of protein across the gut isn't as good.
Yeah,
And also
don't take
it's
it as a
not
protein replacement. I would.
yeah, exactly. And also collagen. There's not as much protein per serving as you would normally get in a whey protein. So most collagen shakes are about 12 grams, I think, 10 grams. Whereas you could get a bodybuilding protein supplement, you could get 40 grams in a shake. So it's quite a big not discrepancy, but there's a big gap between.
I'm going to tell you now that Andy, though, that most women are taking collagen for their hair and nails and skin rather than.
Is what about like is biotin not a better opportunity, a better thing for
I don't know.
hair, nail,
So
and skin?
there's weird. So collagen can be quite expensive for people to take,
Mm,
and there are studies to show that it can help with certain things. And actually, I did take it, and I definitely noticed that my nails were better. But that is just like, from myself. And I was a bit like, oh, but the research is a bit shady on it. But the thing is, if you're not constantly wearing factor, SPF on your face, if you're not drinking very much water during the day, those are going to be your first places to go rather than going to
mm.
the supplements to help with your skin, hair, and nails. So, staying hydrated and putting SPF on your skin and things like that are going to be better. But if you're doing all of those things and you want to take collagen, then there have been shown to be some small benefits. But biotin, I haven't taken.
So just have a look at that just now. Biotin supports hair growth, strengthens nails, and maintains healthy skin. Collagen improves skin elasticity, reduces wrinkles, and supports joint health. Which one is better? For hair and nail health, biotin is generally considered more effective, but for skin elasticity and wrinkle reduction, collagen it looks like the more beneficial. So yeah,
And
probably
so
reason.
biotin is actually also, it's a B vitamin. I didn't know it was B7.
Yeah, B vitamin that helps keratin, if I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah.
Keratin production. So yeah.
Well,
So
maybe I'll try some biotin next time instead.
biotin's cheap, like very cheap. Like you can get a pack of probably 60 capsules or 60 little tablets for $3.99. So it's not anywhere near as expensive as collagen.
I buy mine all from the same kind of place,
Mm.
and I buy them in capsules normally.
Yeah, I kind of get mine from a few different places. Nutrition seem to have a lot of very good stuff for quite cheap. And who's the other one? There's somebody else as well that I use too. Um, but to be fair, I get a lot of my stuff from Home Bargains.
Oh, I am taking biotin. I've just looked. Apparently, my collagen has got biotin in it as well.
Ah,
I've got
excellent.
it's a collagen and biotin complex. I must have just ticked. I didn't realise that. There you go. What did I know, Andy? It wasn't intentional.
There
So
you
maybe
go.
that's why my nails have improved.
That's it. Beautiful nails.
It's actually a
To be
while
fit.
ago, but now I'm scared to stop taking it because of the fact that I was like, I noticed a difference. Now I'm like, oh, well, now I have to carry on. It's probably not that
Yes.
at all.
Yeah. Um, I think the only other question is again supplementation, natural testosterone boosters. There are none. Um,
Oh, I mean, lifestyle. There's going to the gym.
Lifestyle, going to the gym, will do that. But if it's a supplementation, un- unless it's under
It's
the counter, it ain't going to work.
it depends on, yeah, no, exactly. It's not going to be a supplementation. But I remember years ago, and I think I don't want you to quote me on it because I'm sure it was an Art of Manliness article, and my husband was telling me about it, and it was about a guy that when he was younger, he didn't know what was wrong with him. He just felt completely asexual. He had no drive either way. He just didn't feel like he was a man. He didn't know what was wrong with him. And he actually went and got himself tested and he had very, very low testosterone. And then he just went by, I'm going to start working out, I'm going to do this and that. And he didn't apparently need to take testosterone. Most people, I think, would probably go
Mm.
and take it. But I thought it was really interesting then that obviously he was younger and men can lose a bit of testosterone as they age, and
Yep.
women also have a tiny bit of testosterone. They're much smaller than men, but I thought it was interesting that it really for him was just a case of getting pumped, getting a bit more muscle, and kind of
Yeah,
getting out there.
that's it. It's very
And
much
what
one
he
of the
ate.
things that you can do. Yeah, and very much one of the things that you can do for it. Start to eat a better diet, increase your protein, increase your healthy fats, can make a big difference as well. So, um, but I do also think it's something that needs to be addressed from the NHS side as well as kind of certainly for men as they hit 35 and over is the ability to be able to have access to TRT. I think it's something that because, you know, um, women have the access to HRT, which is amazing and been such big steps forward for many females who have been taking HRT. I think we need to think about this for men now as well. That TRT is something that a low testosterone has some massive issues that can come up from it if it's if it becomes an issue, and it's something that we need to start addressing from a man's point of view.
But
I suppose.
I think that a lot of the issues are similar, as in hormone
Yep.
imbalances, whether you're male or
Yep.
female, will leave you feeling pretty shit. The other
Yep.
thing I was going to say is just like menopause, in the sense that
Mm.
there are things that you can do, but you might well struggle to do them if you're not getting the help as well. So they kind of work in
Exactly.
tandem. And it is
Yep.
like everything. You go and take the TRT, but it could be that you're overweight at that point. And I'm only saying overweight, I'm talking quite overweight if you're carrying more
Overweight,
weight,
drinking far too much
drinking too
alcohol
much,
weekly.
not
It's
actually
yeah.
vitamin D, like it's, for
Yep.
women, if you're vitamin D and estrogen's linked, for men, testosterone's there as well. So,
Absolutely.
and what you're eating. So if your lifestyle, you might have got away with it for a bit, but it might not be conducive for keeping those testosterone levels up. And you can go to the doctors, but it's not going
Absolutely.
to fix that, is it?
Yeah, no.
As
It's
well.
about the stuff that and I think that's the thing though, isn't it? It's the factors around it that you have to add in as well. So it's not just about taking a supplement or taking a magic potion to fix it. It's about you need to fix the stuff that's going on around it. So the stuff that, your inactivity, etc.
I mean, there is an activity that's meant to really help testosterone levels, and you can often get it for free. Sometimes you might need to pay for it.
um Is that cutting the grass?
Yeah, cutting the grass. Yeah, how did you guess?
The gutters, it's cleaning the gutters.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it's the new euphemism for it, cleaning the
Oh
gutters.
no, because I keep telling people I like mowing the lawn, and now they're going to be like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, you're mowing the lawn, are you?
Oh,
Yes.
cutting the grass again. Yeah. But
Whoa.
yeah, there we go, brilliant. But
There you go.
yeah, so that's brilliant because just at the same stage that men's testosterone's going down, women aren't feeling like that so much, I don't think. So there we go. Excellent. So what are you up to the rest of the day, Andy? It's coming to 2 o'clock.
Not too much. Not too much. Laura and the little man have decided to head to Canada today, so I dropped them off early doors at the airport.
Where are they going in Canada again? Is it Toronto?
Toronto,
Yeah,
Toronto.
nice.
So they're out there for a week. So yeah, I'm basically going to be me and the dog. She's lying over there. Do you remember this? You know the Spider-Man? Have you seen the Spider-Man meme where there's like 3 Spider-Men and they're all pointing at each other?
Oh yeah. The one that they're I know the one. Oh, jeez.
Akira
I
and
love that you've got a little push along.
Akira and
Push along.
Nala. Akira and Nala.
Very cute. There you go. She's the way that she's looking at it is like not quite trust, I don't think.
I think the post. Give me 2 seconds. I think the postie's here.
Right. Well, we'll finish up there. But thank you,
Perfect.
everyone. I'll let Andy do his. If you can do all.
Yes,
the things.
if you give us a shout on social media, screenshot, share, give us a 5-star rating. It's always massively helpful. Ruth is at RuthMacFit, and I am Andy_Wolfpack. And you can catch us on Instagram for any questions or anything that pops up.
Exactly, and you can leave a comment on the podcast as well. I did see that we've got a couple of comments in the past, which is very lovely. I think it's Tracy.
Need to have a look at that.
Which is lovely. So Tracy,
Exactly.
keep commenting.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you very much, everyone. Until next time. Goodbye.
Ciao.